Well, over the course of the year, I meet with many engineering leaders around the world across multiple industries, and I keep hearing the same 5 things over and over again. First, revenue. How do I hit my revenue plan? How do I get my projects done on time to ensure that my company is able to hit those revenue plans? Second, cost. How do I ensure that I am able to do more with less? Because my investment tends to go down, not up. So how do I do more? How do I improve the margins on my product to ensure that I'm staying competitive in the marketplace? Third, innovation. How do I stay ahead of my competition? How do I get the right products into the market at the right time? How do I get closer to my customers to truly understand their requirements and what they need? Technology is changing rapidly. How do I incorporate that technology most effectively into my operations or into my product mix? Fourth is about risk. There's more and more regulations out there that I have to comply with. How am I ensuring that I'm doing that in a scalable, repeatable way? Cybersecurity and other challenges in both my products as well as my operations. How do I keep those products secure? And how do I comply with increasing customer requirements? Because more and more customers are putting requirements on them to adhere to certain criteria they have in their processes. And then the fifth is, how do I make sure I have the right capabilities within my organization? I've got a lot of folks retiring. How do I replace them? How do I get the new workforce trained and up to speed? How do I make sure that I'm taking the best practices and knowledge we've learned over the years and making sure that we're not forgetting that and we're reusing that? And how do I bring new employees up to speed most effectively? So those are the 5 challenges I hear throughout the world when I talk to an engineering leader. So in my meetings with engineering leaders across industries and around the world, I hear one thing over and over again, that their engineers are drowning in a sea of information. Massive information overload, 40% increase in information available to engineers on a year-over-year basis. Too much information for engineers to digest. But at the same time, these engineering leaders know that those companies that are best able to harness that information are going to be the ones that win the marketplace. The challenge they have is it's really hard to do. Lots of information we talked about, demographic changes. So some estimates in some of industries like aerospace and defense and oil and gas say 50% of their engineers are eligible for retirement, bringing all that information out of them. There was actually a recent study in the oil and gas industry that said there's about $60 billion in wasted expense attributable just to the big crew change alone and that information leaving those doors. Plus, there's a big problem with stovepiping of information or siloing of information where one division doesn't share information with another. The European Patent Office says that about 1/3 of all R&D expense is just wasted duplicating what's already been done before. So think about that. 1/3 of all engineering work is just wasted doing what's already been done before. Companies don't know that this problem's already been solved in some other part of the business or in some other company, and so they do it all over again. Massive opportunities for companies to better harness that information overload and to cut their costs if they're able to do that successfully. Well, quite simply, the engineering workbench solves the information overload challenge for engineers. If you think about an engineer, their job is to solve problems. And on average, to solve a problem, an engineer needs access to information that lives in 13 different databases. Some of those databases are inside their company, and some of them are outside their company. Finding that information is difficult, gaining access to it, even knowing that where an answer lives, all very difficult. The engineering workbench solves that by providing one place to go, one single site to go for all the information an engineer needs both outside your company and inside your company. So in that way, we provide simplified access to engineers to the information they need and help them distill it so that they can extract the answers they need to get their jobs done effectively. So engineers are spending 30 to 50% of their time searching for information. With the engineering workbench, it's down to 5 to 10%. Massive productivity savings from the engineering workbench. In fact, we had a medical devices company that actually took a study and did one control group, said, hey, let's do these tasks the way we've always done them, and now let's take the same tasks and use the engineering workbench to help us solve them. They found a 25% difference in engineering productivity between those two populations. And that's all available through simplified access to engineering information in a way that's never been done before. So quite simply, Engineering Workbench is one of the ways you can dramatically improve the productivity of your engineering organization by solving the information overload problem.